how important is it for Muslims to get involved in the civic participation? We had in this last election from this state alone, many Muslims who were elected. Many people, or some people might still be on the fence about political engagement and our actual efficiency towards it. What are your thoughts around that?
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. First of all, this question and this type of questions, there is two parts that I would like to explain. Number one is the permissibility of being engaged in civic engagement and run for positions and being involved in politics and being involved in making policies, which is even more important than being involved in politics by itself. And the answer for this in a very short way, it is permissible, and it is something that actually every single major scholar that I know across the board from all the different madhahib or different backgrounds, they agreed on the encouragement and the support of Muslims to participate in politics and elections and making sure that their voice is heard, and also to make sure that they implement what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى, help one another in what is commonly good, known as good. Also, as well as every major fatwa council in the Muslim world and inside the Western world. So it's not only one sheikh or a young man or an activist opinion. No, this is almost an agreed upon by every major and every council of fiqh that I'm aware of, from India all the way to America, that they say the same thing. So that's part that it has to be clarified and has to be clear for us. And I will refer to a document that I participate in reviewing it, which is a fatwa that we issued at the Assembly of Muslim Jurists in North America in regard to this issue in particular. And the other aspect of this question is the issue of Muslims basically adopting this as their mission in life. And I do believe that not everybody will basically be interested in politics. Not every Muslim group, not every Muslim sister or brother, or even imams or sheikh find himself interested in this area. It doesn't mean that I don't see it's allowed or it's not good, but you know what? That's not my thing. That's not the thing that I like, or I like to spend my time on it. What we don't want the Muslim community, all of them, to focus one area in life or one aspect of our life, and we forget about others. And that cause what? Imbalance in life. What I want to see among the Muslim community, people who are interested in politics, interested in, organizing people, activists in this area. But in the same time, I want to see Muslim community also interested in social justice and relief work. Muslims also interested, some of them are interested in, da'wah for non-Muslims and da'wah for Muslims and educating themselves. But I think one thing that everybody should care for is ilm and knowledge. Because ilm and knowledge is the basic and the foundation for all these areas. The more knowledge and the more solid foundation you have in understanding of Islam, the stronger you are and effective you are in the field that you're in. Maybe some of us, specialized even in giving da'wah, like some brothers I know, to the celebrities, to the famous, people in the country. And I know a group of people that they focus on that. So that doesn't mean that all of us has to focus on this area. So, radiyallahu anhu Imam Malik rahimahullah, when he said, Ya akhi, he wrote to one of his friends who reprimanded Imam Malik for being too busy teaching hadith and not participating in jihad, okay? And not going to the war, to the front lines. And he said, I don't believe that what I'm doing in Medina in teaching hadith Rasulullah is better than what you're doing in the front lines at that time. But I do believe that both of us doing something good. And I pray for you. And I do believe, إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ قَسَمَ الْأَعْمَالِ كَمَا قَسَمَ الْأَرْزَاقِ. Allah have divided the work and basically the area of good deeds and serving the community and serving society the same way He divided the arzaq, the provision. So everybody has his share. Everybody has a thaghra. Everybody has an area that he and she work at. But also there is wajib al-waqt. There is also a time where we have all to put focus. For example, if there is a crisis like when we had in Houston, for example, a crisis in a hurricane. Allah forbid if your city, Minneapolis, got a natural disaster. You know what? You don't be sitting in your house or your the masajid teaching, or like Shaykhna or Ustad Muhammad Faqih Jazallah Khair in his Orange County, when they had the fire and they need help, you know, all Muslim community goes out. When it's about to elections and voting, I put a lot of effort and talk on it. But when I move on, you know what? I have many other fronts to deal with as well. So I hope what we need a balanced Muslims. And that's a very important quality to have as a Muslim who live in the West today.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sheikh. And there's a kind of a follow-up to that, which has received quite a lot of votes here. People are asking, how do we respond to Muslim politicians with un-Islamic values?
Very good. How can we respond to Muslim politicians who don't have good Islamic values? I would believe that they have certain values, because without having a little certain values, good values, I don't see the world black and white. And I refuse to see the world black and white, and I hope you do so, because this is a very wrong way of living. So there is nobody who absolutely have no Islamic values. It's impossible. Otherwise, this person will never be elected, actually. He will never be run for an office. But he might have certain deficiency in certain area and good in other area. So what do we need to do? We keep advising. We keep supporting. You know, I do believe that politicians, not necessarily at that stage, or we don't want them to represent Islam. You know what? I want him to represent himself. I want him to represent a good Muslim. I want you to represent the Muslim community, the constituents that you represent. But it doesn't mean that you have to be 100% perfect. And we should keep advising them. And we support, basically, in this level, we don't have the leverage even to make the choices. Remember, we have very baby steps in this area. And we're not going to achieve high goals at once. You're not going to reach number 100 from the beginning. Same thing we look at as muftis when it comes to Islamic finance. And also as an activist or a person who cares about education, when it comes to Muslim schools. I don't think Muslim schools will achieve to the top and become, perfect from the beginning. Our Islamic finance is not going to be perfect. It's going to take a while. There's a lot of things we need to learn in the process. So yes, in the beginning we might not be perfect, far away from being perfect. But as we go, as we continue, we will be effective and we will improve ourselves. And better people will come to that, to run. I'm happy. I was so happy when I came to Minnesota last time when I met Brother Malik when he was running to be state representative. He's the one that was referred to that he lost by 150 votes only. A brother from the Masjid, CARE, he works with CARE and an activist organizations and civil rights, and he's running in rural areas, which is mostly like, as we say, redneck area, and he was very close to win. But we have Sister Ilhan Omar winning. She's not perfect, he's not perfect, Keith is not perfect, but you know what? As we keep going and keep trying, we will improve. So that's my key point here.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sheikh. There's a lot of votes for this question. Seems quite, I won't say basic, but anyways, we'll get your thoughts on it. Do you have to have wudu to touch the Quran?
It is recommended for you to have wudu to touch the Quran. I don't know any clear, authentic evidence obligate upon the person to have wudu touching the Quran. But it is a recommended thing to have a wudu before touching the Quran.
Jazakumullah khairan. Someone again is asking for advice against how to overcome procrastination. They feel like they want to do something, but for whatever reason they don't get around to it, what advice can you give them to overcome procrastination?
Procrastination is a problem. And one of the best things is to learn is to do things immediately. You know, I have one of my kids, mashallah, I tell my kids, if it wasn't for last moment, you would never do your homework. And all the credit go to the last moment. Because he does his homework and all his work at the last moment. So if there's no last moment, there's no homework done. And some people are like that. All what they do is just keep delaying, keep delaying. You know, you might delay, but time wouldn't. Remember that. You might delay, but time would not. Time will not allow you to. So what you need to do is to be instantly taking. And most likely people procrastinate because either they see things too big, and in this case, you have to divide the job, the tasks, and manage your time properly. Set your priorities. And one of the things is just conquer that hesitation through action. I sometimes fall into this and delay things, you know, but I learned through the time that when I have this problem, it's mainly because I see too big or it's too busy, or I see I have a lot of time on my hand, and that goes back when I analyze this, that I don't have a good management over my time. So manage your time properly, just do things instantly, have basically a list to do, and just check it, so you can finish quickly. And always remember, you might delay, but time might not.
That's very deep, mashallah. Another person is asking, in the age of YouTube scholars, titles such as Salafi or progressive, and seemingly anyone being able to have the title of Sheikh, how can the average Muslim know who or where to get their knowledge from?
Very good question. Because Sayyid al-Musayyib rahimahullah said, إن هذا الأمر دين فانظروا عمن تأخذوا دينكم. This is a deen. This is a religion. And you should look and search for the person that you trust to take your religion from. You don't just go to anyone who give you a medical advice or a legal advice, even though some people do, but that's wrong. Common sense. You don't do that. You should look for people who are specialized. So, you know, YouTube and titles do not define scholars. What defines scholars is multiple things. Number one, that person will be recognized by scholars as a scholar, or recognized by the scholars as a person of fatwa. And I'm talking about someone who is giving fatwa in a religious issue that you need an answer for. Number two, that you can recognize that by his association. So he might be associated with, you know, organization that's well known to be an organization of fatwa and scholarly level, or a professor in Sharia, have a PhD, graduate, have a master, have a bachelor in Islamic studies, and so forth. So that's another way to look at the person. Number three, sometimes it is basically al-istifada, that somebody became well known among the student of knowledge and the imams, that he's a person capable of giving fatwa. And it became well-known scholar, well-known sheikh. You see people refer to him in that manner. So in this case, you will take the fatwa from the person. But also, one of the things is if they wrote books, and their books can testify for their work, there may be classes online, testify that there are people who master fiqh. You know, also being someone who, in his credential, that I study fiqh al-Hanafi, al-Maliki, al-Shafi'i, al-Hanbali, ila akhiri, he basically he studied, he understand that. He studied usul fiqh, you know, even if he doesn't study in college, but he studied through the tradition way with the mashayikh and ulama. And he wrote in this, his posts, his classes online will be a testimonial for the person. And you can tell the difference between an activist, somebody talks about, you know, stories and issues, which is general topic, and someone who is specialized in fiqh, specializing in fatwa, of usul al-fiqh, of explaining the tafsir, the hadith, etc. Then last thing I want to say, that it depends on the issue. There is also the issues, or some issues required a little bit of experience. It's not about the knowledge. It's also about the experience. Like someone, for example, have an issue in relation to a major issue that will affect the general public of the Muslim community, or something so critical. You will look for someone older, not just some fresh graduate to tell you about it. You look for someone who have been for a while and understand and have experience in life. Some issues also specialized in certain areas. For example, there are some scholars focus a lot on business transactions. They're good, very good at it. If you ask them, I know some shuyukh, I know personally, shuyukh that I will take fatwa from them when it comes to business transaction, but I will not ask them an issue in salah or ibadat or tahara. They're not good at it. SubhanAllah, it's just people have different focus. So that's something also you look at. Also look at the issue that's related to, if it's something has to do with the American context, like the life that we're living here, make sure that you reach out to people who you trust, knows the reality, knows the situation very well, so you can ask them. I don't think you need to ask someone who live in America about sujood al-sahw, for example. But if you're going to talk about elections and you're going to participation in politics, how to deal with, for example, minorities in America, building alliance with people from different religion background or social background or whatever any differences that you can think of in the modern days, these things you should ask and seek advice from scholars who live the life of the basic living these issues and aware of the circumstances very well. Finally, there are certain issues as well. You need to ask a group of scholars, not only one. So you look, for example, to a collective ijtihad, a collective opinion. You will search, what's the Assembly Muslim Jurists North America said? What's the Islamic Council of Fiqh said? What's the European Council of Fiqh said? And in this case, alhamdulillah. And I want to tell you something to put you in ease. If you do your best and you think that this person really capable of giving the fatwa, and you took the fatwa from him, alhamdulillah, you free your responsibility in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you're sincere about that. And the person who will bear the responsibility of the fatwa is the mufti, the one who gave you the answer.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sheikh. Along those same lines, there are many votes for it as well. People are saying that Minnesota desperately needs reform in Islamic education. Many of the scholars at the masajid cannot effectively communicate with the youth, and there is a lack of community. What can we do to fix this?
I think the reform mainly focus on the way we introduce the knowledge, we teach the knowledge, and that's something in AlMaghrib we try to work on it a lot. The reform can be in the way we address issues, we look at issues, very small areas here and there in our traditions. I believe it needs to be re-evaluated because it can be based on a wrong understanding, based on science or medical, for example, understanding that is proven to be wrong today. So these are issues that I do believe there is a reform to be done to it. Also, there is issues are not relevant anymore today. There is no need for it. It is belong to the history, the good side or bad side. I think that's part of the reform that we need. How can we do that? I think it has to start with Sunday school, Islamic schools, that there is a serious reform need to be done in these curriculums. My son, for example, who is still 13 years old, was that day memorizing Surah Al-Talaq and Ayat Al-Dhihar. Because the teacher wanted him to make sure that he memorized the whole entire juz. What if my son, for instance, is not going to be hafiz? Not every kid will be hafiz al-Quran. Like I know one of the schools that I know in Houston, their goal is every Islamic schools, that every student, the program designed to make everyone make hifz al-Quran. Who said that everyone will be hafz al-Quran? In my opinion, that's a very, wrong way of approaching Islamic studies in Sunday school or in Islamic schools. You have a track for those who want to be hafiz and a track for those who are not. I prefer my son to teach him, the last verses in Surah, for example, Furqan. You teach him the last 3 verses in Surah Al-Baqarah. You make my son or our children basically understand certain verses, certain passage in the Quran. They master it, so they don't just memorize, and after the year finished, they don't remember anything from the Quran that they studied. What's the point? A lot of educators, a lot of teachers that I see, their goal is to dump the information that they have on the students. And when you dump it on them, I feel I did my job. That's absolutely wrong. That's not what education is. Education is to make the person understand, adapt, take this and run with it and develop it. That's what education about. It's not about just dumping it. I don't care you got it or not. You will benefit from it or not. That's not educating kids. I do believe that there is Islamic education do not need to be heavily depend on memorization. It has to be also based on principles. Our kids need to be taught manners, etiquettes, adhkar. It's such a shame that our young generation today, I know activist Muslim today in MSAs, and if you ask them what you say in the night, adhkar al-masa, he or she doesn't know. What do you say after Fajr? They don't know. And I do believe one of the muthabbitat al-din, one of the things that will keep you on the straight path and will make husn al-khatima for you is memorizing and often reading the adhkar in the morning, in the night, after the salah, inside the salah, and all these adhkar that you should be aware of. This is not important part of our curriculums today when it comes to Islamic studies. Caring about dua, caring about understanding the aqidah, the belief, the creed of Muslims. It's not acceptable that we don't teach that. And when we focus on aqidah, we focus on issues that are not issues. While the main issues that we want to make sure that our children need to have and to understand, unfortunately, they're not addressed well. So I think this area, I agree 100%. One of the ways to do is to put pressure in your Islamic school and Sunday schools. Number two is to invest in good teachers. Teach the teachers. You know what? Provide courses where we can go and learn. I remember when I first joined AlMaghrib, I went and I took a course about how to tell a story. It's a course provided, how to tell a story. As a teacher, you're a storyteller. I'm still not good at it, but you know what? I'm trying. And so on. So there's a lot of things you can take and improve your skills, as to invest in your teachers, invest in your leaders in the community. If they don't want to improve themselves, move on and invest in another generation that's willing to do so.
Jazakumullah khair, Sheikh. We do want to wrap up, inshallah, and move on to kind of a more insightful approach to why we're doing this.
You and I grew up with information at our fingertips. Just like everything, you looked online for Islamic guidance, watching YouTube videos, wiki pages, or blog posts by anonymous scholars. You looked for answers to complex questions without building a foundation. As ideas, thoughts, and personal opinions became widely available, eloquence won over knowledge. Likes won over authenticity, and trends dictated right and wrong. Passion led you from one personality to the next, despite their credibility. That's when confusion crept in. You saw the effect of extreme ideas. Some folks either turned to hate or were filled with doubt and left Islam behind. You may be wondering what's next. You still want to understand the essentials of what Islam is and how to practice it. As Muslims, what do we believe? How do we worship? How do we treat others? What you decide next will be important. Clearly, self-learning didn't work. The approach obviously needs to change. So we came up with a way that does.
So, Faith Essentials, I'll allow Sheikh Waleed to expand more on its creation and its importance, and why is it something that we should, inshallah, get involved with. Faith Essentials, yeah.
Faith Essential basically is a program that we thought about the people who don't have the chance to attend our classes. What's the percentage of people take our class and the percentage of people who miss our classes? Very big percentage, comparing to the people that we approach and the cities that we reach out to. And the online community, a great, huge community. And alhamdulillah, one of the good things about AlMaghrib is the instructors of AlMaghrib. My colleagues are an amazing group. And I'm very proud to be part of such group that they inspire me, they teach me, I really consider them true brothers and sisters that I have, and I can rely on them after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in many things in my life. And I saw how dedicated they are and how connected they are to the community. So we come and said to ourselves, why don't we use this to provide this ilm to the masses? So we come up with that faith IQ, or faith essential. We said that our deen is divided into 3 categories. Aqidah, belief, fiqh, ibadat, basically the act of worship between you and Allah. Then mu'amalat, transactions, and including the mannerism and ethics and all these areas, and including the transactions that take place between people. So faith essential cover all these 3, and you will have recorded materials, very well done, very well produced, then followed by office hours that you can ask the question to the teachers and the instructors who taught the material. And this is something very unique, that you have a live session with the teacher. And that's basically, in summary, what this faith essential is. I do believe that every Muslim must put an effort to learn the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as we heard earlier, people complaining about they cannot relate, there's no good materials, there's no good way of learning the deen, especially in 21st century and with all this social media, with the fast, basically, rate that we live today. This idea came, and alhamdulillah, it's been great success so far. So I encourage every and each one of you is to participate and take place in this program, Faith Essential.
Sheikh, we actually had a really good question as well I wanted to ask you. People asked, is Ammar al-Shukri married?
Yeah, he has 4. He's married to my daughter, and my daughter equal to 4. So.
Allah Akbar. Allah, that was smooth, right? Because he tried to call me out earlier. Then I saw that question. I was so happy. I was like, alhamdulillah, I can put him on the spot. But we have his son-in-law, Sheikh Ammar Shukri, with us on stage. And I'll allow him to talk more about Faith Essentials, inshallah. Which one? Faith IQ or Faith Essentials? So I got a bit confused because Faith IQ is the Q&A format of videos, daily videos that are going out through different social media mechanisms. But Faith Essentials is this kind of all-encompassing program which is meant to give people their basic in faith, inshallah. So I'll allow you to talk about that program as well, inshallah.
So, you have a question about Islam. Who do you ask? Every day for the last year, Al-Maghrib Institute began answering your questions in quick, straight-to-the-point videos. 1 video answer a day, every day. In just 1 year, we produced a video a day answering difficult questions with over 2 million viewers from around the world. Our website is regularly browsed by over 15,000 people per month. Because we answer questions you submit, the content is relevant to your needs, covering a broad range of topics from worship, disability, marriage, and deeper purpose of life type of questions. Alhamdulillah, we've been able to keep this project 100% free, sending you video answers every day to your inbox or WhatsApp. The library continues to grow every day, and in order to continue meeting this very important need, we need your help. In the next year, the plan is to put together a dedicated team so that we can answer your questions faster, and also add a dedicated research staff to get you the most accurate answers. We get hundreds of questions, and we would like to address them all and continue to benefit the English-speaking Muslim living around the world. Click on the link and support Faith IQ today.
Yeah, you'd actually be surprised. A lot of the questions that I was kind of scrolling through on the link are actually, sorry, that's me talking, not Ammar. Okay, there you go. And we look like this. Just like a ventriloquist. I wonder why aren't you moving your lips? A lot of the questions that you asked have actually been answered through Faith IQ. If you were to go on the website, Faith IQ, and just look and scroll through the database, a lot of the questions that we asked today and the ones that we didn't get a chance to answer have actually been answered in video format on Faith IQ. Or if there's a question that we didn't get a chance to answer, like the sister came up, I apologize because we didn't get a chance to take her question. But if you do have a burning question, which a lot of people do, you can submit it through Faith IQ, inshallah. We can answer them. We have been answering and releasing daily videos for the past year and change. So this is, alhamdulillah, a method that has seen many fruits. And but Faith Essential is something different, which I'll allow Ammar to speak about as well.
Well, I just, with regards to Faith IQ, just very briefly, alhamdulillah, salatu salam ala rasulillah, I just wanted to share with you guys, so that video that just played, one of the most challenging things is being able to make sure that people in the most remote areas in the world have access to authentic Islamic knowledge. And whenever you have a question, let's just be honest here, whenever you have a question on Islam, what's the first thing that you do? Google. Answer me. What's the first thing that you do?
Google.
You Google. Even though you guys are in Minnesota, right? So you guys have masajid in every corner. You guys have mashayikh everywhere. And you guys go to Google. So what do you think the person who's in Oklahoma is doing, just because Sheikh Abdul Nasser started the whole Oklahoma thing? And everybody else in the world, right? They're going to Google too. And so when they go to Google, what are they going to find? And so alhamdulillah, AlMaghrib launched this project last year called Faith IQ, which was intended to meet everybody where they already are, which is online. And all of the videos are answered by AlMaghrib instructors and people who are specialists in those fields. And the videos, and this is the key here, the videos are under 3 minutes long. Every single question is under 3 minutes long, and it's in video format, and it's with graphics, and it's very friendly for visual consumption. And so, alhamdulillah, since the past year, 400 videos, every single day a video has gone out, and over 2 million views. And the reason why I'm sharing this, alhamdulillah, 2 million views, the reason why I'm sharing this is because we're just at the beginning. And inshallah, we hope that this is something that's going to continue to grow, and in the next 10 years, that when people are looking for information about questions and answers that they have, that this will be the main library that they'll be able to have access to, that this will be the #1 platform, inshallah, that Muslims in English will be accessing. And it's very possible. But right now we're at the beginning of the project, and so your support, inshallah, is going to be magnified by the amount of growth that this project has, inshallah. And so whatever you can support, you can go to this link. And the reason why I'm sharing this, and we're sharing this, is not because we're expecting anybody to drop $20,000 or $10,000 or anything like that, but more than that is everyone having a share in this project. And so I would highly encourage everyone, even if you donate $1 through this link, I would encourage you to not leave this seminar, this event today, inshallah, without doing that. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from all of us, and that He uses us to be of those who spread His religion to all of the corners of the globe. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. That's it.